Hey y'all, and good now, whenever and wherever this finds you. Welcome to today's episode of Pontification by TC. Today I have a special opportunity. My latest joy was to make snippets out of an interview that a radio station did with Jimmy Dore. And they had a Zoom of all four of them together, and so for me it was to take snippets, and I had a really great time, and so I want to share some of those with you now. In this snippet, Jimmy is asked, has the American experiment failed?
I wanted to add one more important question while we still had you, is one of our friends of our show, the writer of The Red Herring Effect, Paul Sisler, we've talked about politics with him on the air, and he breaks it down in a way that I really like to classify myself. Traditionally, I'm probably a moderate right to voter, never voted a straight ticket in my life. But he tends to look at things as humanist or corporatist, and I think you're firmly on the side of humanism, and I think I am too. And this is the third rail you keep touching seems to really piss off Democrats more than Republicans, right? Is that been your biggest pushback? Has always been right from the corporate left, but it's the humanism I think we have to focus on. And that being said, you mentioned Cornel West, so here's my question. Cornel West says that the American experiment has failed. Do you think it has?
Well, I don't. What was the experiment supposed to produce?
Okay, let me try to fill in for Bryce and pretend I can read his mind. Was post World War II idealism where we were thriving, where the American dream was the American dream? Was that an anomaly?
Or even further, that he just Cornel
West let him think on that. Let him think on that. He's thinking.
So certainly the idea is that if you work really hard, you can get ahead in America, because the people who work the hardest are the poorest, right? So there's a lot of people really were busting their ass 2 and 3 jobs, and you think they'd be the wealthiest, right? No, of course not.
That's right. No, definitely not.
So as the American experiment, what people don't realize is that they all go, oh, January 6th was a threat to our democracy. I have a friend. This is a true story. My friend, who by the way has a new comedy special coming out on Friday, but he said to me, I saw him in Vegas and we were talking, and he said, Jimmy, I'll go along with a lot of the stuff you say, but I'm sorry, that January 6th, that really undermined our democracy. And I just laughed and I said, that's what you think did it? It's adorable. Your democracy was stolen from you decades ago. You don't live in a democracy. You live in an oligarchy. And that's not me saying that. That's not hyperbole. That was proven by a study at Princeton that we are in an oligarchy. And that's because since 1980, workers haven't had a raise because corporations bought this government. And that's why we shipped all our jobs to China. And that's why we still don't have health care. And that's why 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck and they can't afford a $400 emergency, not because of Russia and not because of China, but because your democracy was stolen from you. And when are people going to get pissed off about that? The answer is never. Because
we are.
The oligarchy owns their media. I'm just saying, people like us, that's our mission, I think, is to wake people up to that and to get people away from blaming their neighbor for stuff like that. People are convinced right now that they're fighting white supremacy and Nazism if they fight against regular Republicans. It's like, you guys are being tricked. They all serve the same people. And so that we got to join with our Republican brothers over a class basis. That's what class. So when people say we have to organize along class lines, what Christian Smalls did in Staten Island, that's what they mean. But they don't want to do that, right? I had an anti-war rally in Washington, D.C., and there were people from anti-war organizations that didn't want to go to it because they didn't agree with the politics of other people. Hey, that's not how organizing works.
I just love Jimmy Dore and the way he talks with such passion and righteous indignation. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you down the road.